how this phone, it's like slim. First screens I interacted with, there was all this plastic behind. And it's amazing now how the devices have become so small that they can fit into your pocket, and we now have a screen which we take everywhere. And with that, there's the fusion that's occurred with man and also the machine. In my thesis is that we have actually fused with machine, even though the humans have not began inserting things inside their body that are technological and linked into the cyberspace. You pretty much can't go anywhere without this phone, and everyone has their phone attached to them at all times. One real wake up call for me was when I was on my friend's farm and I was riding a quad bike, and I didn't realize that there was a rock in amongst this tall grass, and I hit the rock, went flying off the rock, off the back of the motorbike. And while I was floating in the air, waiting to come down, in that brief moment of time, I was purely thinking about my phone and whether or not my phone was going to break. I then had the realization when I hit the floor that I could have seriously been injured. Thankfully, nothing too bad happened. I had a bit of a sore back. But yeah, at least for me, that serves at a point to sort of indicate where the priorities are in terms of my own health and safety, and then the safety of this device which gives me these powers that I'm so attached to. And it's amazing because now we have this, and anyone's able to show you what they were seeing, not experiencing, but seeing and hearing through the phone. I can scroll through my camera roll and pull up a picture and then show you where I was on a particular date. And it's instantaneous. It's almost as though we have recorded ourselves and fused with the machine without being the memory bank. Now, I've gone on a bit of a tangent, and what I was coming back to with the voyeurism is now that we have this, we're experiencing life. But the amazing part is with screens show you something which is not actually there yet. The interaction with the screen is experiential in life. For example, the big screen that used to exist with old forms of television and whatnot, that was part of your experience. But as screens expanded in their reach and molded to us, we began to experience more of life through the screen. Our lives become through screens. Think about how many people spend all day looking at their screen for work, and then when they're not looking at their screen for work, which is typically the computer, they are then looking at the screen for distraction. I'm not going to use the word entertainment or leisure because I don't think that is truly the root of a lot of people's interactions with their phones. But in saying that, there's definitely positives that have come with the phone. But one crazy thing is the camera being on the front and the back, and having the camera face towards the individual that is using the device is something that is very novel, and I think we have not collectively wrapped our head around as a species. It's definitely rewired how we think. I know anyone in my generation is typically going to be a lot more self-conscious than someone who's, say, 50 years older. And that's, I think, a large part to how often we are reminded of what we look like and how we compare ourselves to others. Sure, people used to do it, but celebrity lifestyles, influences, they weren't all thrown in your face in the same way that were they are nowadays. And with this, and with the screens slowly becoming smaller and attaching themselves to us, we've developed a culture where people enjoy, I use that word loosely, I feel, where people get sucked into voyeurism, sucked into observing from a distance. We don't look to go out and engage with life actively, where we've taken a backseat and we've become passive within our own lives. You see this passivism in our obsession with what other people are doing, as opposed to obsessing over what we can do in our lives. And because a lot of the time, the things people are doing are not, they are within the world, but they occur through the screen. That is the interaction many people have with the world, and it is removed. So then, within people's own lives, when they're not engaged in the screen realm, they still adopt this voyeuristic stance. I know something that has affected me, for example. You see people, but you don't feel like you can talk to them, and you sit back and you watch. And we see this obviously with the advent of streaming, which is something that I don't really understand. We obsess and we watch all sorts of things. We watch sports because I think for a large part people wish they were the people playing those sports at the highest level. We don't. We're content with watching. We're so content with watching that we don't go out and do. But the people that do are the ones who create the content. So I think what is going to happen over time, more so and more so, and we can already see this in the last 15 years, is that society will become more voyeuristic and people will turn to content that is more personalized and individualized as it is now, but potentially even focus more on streaming than is already the case. Um, so you're going to literally have this duality of the content watchers, the voyeurs, and then the content creators. And with AI as well, people are probably going to lose faith with the systems, and there will be perhaps a shift towards live content even more, because people are looking at AI and they want to be able to verify that whatever they're seeing is a real human. And what way do you counter AI? It's to have a live stream where people can interact fluidly. And this voyeurism takes even grander scale when you think of the notion of followings, and how people will seemingly back those who they view as if they truly know them. And it creates a crazy sort of situation where you have all these people that believe in the illusion that they really know this particular creator or whatever, based off the figment of the apparition that occurs through the screen and through the consumption of that. Yet, when you're walking down the street, you don't know your neighbour anymore. But we're so quick to have judged from a distance, completely removed through a camera, a projection of an image or video from far away, but then think that we truly know what's going on there because we've seen it. Yeah, I think it's quite interesting, and the absurdity of voyeurism and the sickness of it will continue to grow as people have less within their own lives, as economic struggles, everything, people move into smaller and smaller homes, smaller and smaller places of living. They will then proceed to live out their fantasies through their screens more. But it's gone from fantasy of narrative and show and moving to the fantasy of lifestyles of other individuals. And that bit, the jealousy that comes from that, I think is not a great thing to focus on as a human being. Like, it's better off if you're a bit more focused on yourself and finding a way to live a life that's authentic and where you help others, instead of worrying about the lifestyles of the rich and the famous or whoever. Because truthfully, you don't understand them except for what you perceive through the screen. It's so easy to get caught up on everything great you might see, but you have no idea. Alright, thanks for listening, and we'll see where this goes.